welcome back to our welcome to our second episode of our new channel. Not exactly sure what our conversation today is going to be about. Danny, did you have anything you wanted to talk about today? Anything on your heart?
Well, actually, there's something I've been thinking about. Um, I probably won't have any firm conclusions, but if you're happy to just have a talk with me about what's going on,
Of
um,
course, that's what we're here
and see where
for.
we end up. So the first thing on my mind, now that you've turned the video on and I can see myself, is I blend into the backdrop a little bit. But never mind, that wasn't my first thought when you asked. Um, Something that I've been thinking about is about the whole being made in the image of God thing. Or not something. I don't know. It was a big deal growing up and through most of my years. It was a big deal that God is supposed to be making me in his image, right? And I used to pray, God, make me more like you, make me more like you, make me more in your image. And I was quite distressed a lot of the time that I wasn't more like him. And I always used to think about make me more like you, make me nicer to people, more polite,
Mhm.
less confrontational, maybe more patient, um, those sorts of things. So I'll get to where I'm going in a minute. But how about you? I mean, what did you sort of think about that stuff?
Well, I think I remember there was this song, "More Like Jesus," more like Jesus. I can't
Ah,
remember
yes, I know that one.
exactly. And then of course my brain now I'm a little more, of course, a little more snarky and cynical than I was as a child. But Jesus also did turn over the tables. It flipped the tables. So being like Jesus doesn't necessarily mean being polite all the time. Sometimes you do got to turn over some tables, but I've always wondered, about making, we're made in his image, male and female, so I think sometimes as women, you know, God is usually portrayed as masculine, and so to embrace our
Yep.
femininity and still be like God, I think is always there's so much you could unpack and theorize in all of that.
When you say it like that, that is a huge topic and gets me thinking about even different things again. But since we had a commitment to try and keep these our chats short, half an hour or less, maybe if we can,
Hmm.
I'm going to stick to just a little portion of what you said. But you did remind me. I had a thought this last week when I was reading something that, and it fits in with what you said. If the Bible was written by men, I was going to use my Australian euphemisms and say the Bible was written by blokes.
Sure. We
Um,
know what blokes
Australian,
are.
yeah, it was written by blokes, written by men. And I think if it had been written by females, it'd be different. Obviously, it'd be different.
So have you heard the theory?
Um,
Sorry, this
oh
is a
yeah,
little, that potentially Hebrews was written by Priscilla.
no, I've never heard that. Really?
Yeah, it's a theory. There's a little bit of a rabbit trail if you want to go down that sometime or just look at it for your
Oh,
own. I don't know if there's super strong proof, but we don't have really, in my opinion, I don't think we have strong proof. Sorry, my cat decided she wanted to be on my lap. So
oh, that's adorable. That's what I like. Real life chats. That's what we've promised people.
this is
Keep the cat.
Theodosia. Yes.
Um, okay, I'm going to check that Priscilla thing out. Um, so when it comes to understanding the Bible and that it's written by men, and I feel like we only get the highlights of the story,
Hmm.
just like a few little highlighted points. And I know there's a huge difference between if my sweetheart tells a story and I tell a story.
Oh, for
His
sure.
is greatly lacking in details compared to mine, but I know that's not true of every man. Some men tell stories in great detail.
Hmm.
We won't get into the mansplaining thing either. That just wouldn't be fair or sexist. I'll leave that.
No.
But the Bible's written by men, and I feel like we get the highlights. So I often feel like I'm missing the story. Well, I do these days. I never used to. I used to, of course, think that I knew everything and I was part of the whole remnant church and I knew everything and it was all sweet. Now that I don't believe I know everything, I realize that there's so many things I don't know, and I feel like there's giant parts of the Bible I'm missing. And we only get the highlights of the story, and I wonder how important some of those details would be. So, something that just I've been really excited this last couple of weeks. I've started reading a new book, and it's written by a guy that's a Buddhist, so it's not a Christian book, but it's got me thinking about God and the Bible differently. I love it when God talks to me from unexpected places.
Hmm.
So I'll tell you what I've been thinking about this whole being made in the image of God. Um, it's been such a comfort to me. I feel like I've missed some really important things. Like I've been focusing on all the image of God that I don't have instead of looking at maybe the things that I do have. And I'm wondering if maybe I've forgotten about the being created in God's image and I've put so much thought into make me something different that I haven't said thank you to the things God's already given me.
Mm.
I haven't even seen the things that He's given me. I'm so used to walking in an unsure place that I missed it. So let's start at the beginning. Okay. And if I get a bit excited, it's because I am excited. Start at the beginning. And I don't have a firm conclusion, but I'll take you as far as I've got. The beginning of the Bible starts with a story of creation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So God is creating things. And I won't tell the whole story because it's such a well-known one. God's creating things. And then it says really clear, God created all the earth and these amazing things, and God created man in his image. So the only thing I already know about God when he tells me I was created in his image is that he's an amazing artist and creator.
Mm.
I
Hmm.
didn't see a whole lot of other stuff in there. I mean, there's some stuff about how he always was and he created stuff from nothing. Obviously, when he created me in his image, I don't have those skills. I don't create things from thin air. I
Hmm.
actually need a medium of some sort. He didn't. But so it says God created amazing things. So I know he's artistic. Then he created me in his image, so to be like him. And this is probably a simplistic version of it, but it excited me. Then something that I'd totally missed until one of my friends asked me some questions. Then God actually invites me to join him. Well, he invited man, not me personally. I wasn't alive back then, but
Sure.
he invited man to join him in the creative process. So he asked
Mhm.
Adam to be creative. How? To name the animals. I've known that story since I was a kid, but I never saw the progression of the three artistic things. God created stuff. He made me to be like him, so to be creative, and then he invited man to be creative and name the animals. Three things in a row. Don't know how
Mhm.
I missed it. And I guess I got excited about that because I like to make things. I think as a kid, I like to make things lots. And then I sort of grew up and you get, responsible. I don't know. I feel like there was a period of time in adulthood where I wasn't so creative, when I didn't have a lot of energy for it. And it's part of the whole being an adult and leaving the childhood things behind. And I've sort of engaged with that again lately. I don't know where your creative processes went, but I've started again. There's always little bits of it, but I've started again lately. And I never thought if I'd thought about it in advance, I would have actually brought some of the things I've created. Little crazy things out of pieces of denim, handbags out of denim.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've handmade leather things. I make cards. I've painted rocks. I've had so much fun painting rocks.
Oh yeah.
Um, and of course, the other thing is that quite often, and I'm not going to get into this really deep today, but quite often in the past, Saturdays were the most boring day of the week. I resented them and I'd like, oh no, what am I going to do at Saturday? And I would never pull my craft stuff out. I wouldn't think to paint rocks on Saturday. Or if I did once or
Mhm.
twice, about 2 years back, I thought, oh, it's Saturday. But if I paint rocks with Bible verses on them, it's a suitable activity.
Of course.
Yeah,
Sanctified.
you know about this stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And I feel like I totally missed a whole facet of things. And I guess I'm sitting here today wondering, what does it mean to me now? And how do I feel differently about creating things whenever I have the urge to create something? Knowing that one, I'm made in the image of a creative God. And And that was like the first thing that he tells me about life. And then I guess that's not even getting into the joy my creations bring sometimes if I give them to people.
Oh, for
I also
sure.
went through a phase about 4 weeks, like probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I went to make something and I thought, oh, I can't make that on Saturday because I might want to sell that one for pocket money. And then I'm like, oh no, no, that's right. I know new things now. It doesn't. And oh no, no, I don't believe that anymore. That I'm not going to get into the whole how my belief changed on that. I just want to stick with the creation.
Yeah.
Someone, someone said to me recently, who was the first person in the Bible to be called or to be labeled as filled with the Spirit of God? Do you actually have you ever thought about that? Do you know who it is?
No.
Uh, no. Okay. Well, let me tell you what I've discovered. So when I think about the Spirit of God and the Holy Spirit, I always think about Pentecost and New Testament, big airy fairy woo woo things.
Hmm.
So cool. The first person to be called filled with the Spirit of God actually occurs in, check my notes, Exodus, Exodus 31, and his name is spelt, I'll spell it to you because I can't pronounce it, Bezalel. So like Bezalel, Beziel, I have no idea.
The okay, I think I know who you're talking about. The craftsman for the
Yes, the first person in the whole Bible that was called filled with the Spirit of God was an artist.
that's
It
awesome.
was someone that created. And I just I I haven't got to the end point of where all these thoughts are going to take me yet. I'm still just in the I'm excited. How have I lived? I won't tell you how many years because I don't want everyone knowing that yet. But how have I lived this considerable number of years without knowing this?
I have found so many instances where, my husband and I are very slowly working our way through reading the Bible together. And we read stuff and we're like, how did we miss this? Like it's not like we've been ignorant of the Bible, but I think that just sitting down and just reading the Bible without anything else, kind of really is very refreshing and you see stuff that you never saw before.
Ah, I reckon there's probably some people at this point listening, be them now or in the way distant future or whenever, that are thinking, yeah, but I'm not an artist. And so I want to just float the thought because I 100% believe it. Not all art has to be framed and put on walls.
Mm-mm.
Not all art is sellable. Not all art is what you think of art. And so I've got a bigger and larger concept recently of art, and it's changed some stuff for me. I'm more excited about things that I never used to be excited about. So to be artistic or to create, okay, so God the creator, to create is just to create something that didn't exist until you created it.
Hmm.
So, crazy thought. When you cook a meal, you are creating something that wasn't there till you made it, you created it. When we have, like right now, you and I are participating in being like our Father.
Hmm.
We are walking in the image and the plan that He made for us. We are creating something that didn't exist until
Yeah.
we started to create it. This podcast or video, whatever you want to call it. And so every time you create a conversation, a card, a meal, if you create a new place for your furniture to live in your lounge room because you move it all around,
Right.
you are creating something. I've spent my whole life thinking about wanting to be more like God and asking Him for things. And I've always felt less than.
Hmm.
And suddenly I'm seeing hundreds of new ways that actually I am walking in part of the design that He had for me and that does connect us that I've never thought of.
Yeah.
Like someone that says, my dad is a builder and I want to build things. And
Yeah.
then They suddenly realize that they don't just, that they use their building skills in all sorts of odd
Mhm.
places, and they suddenly feel a different connection because they're doing something that they never thought was building, but actually is, and they feel connected.
Mhm.
When you see that thing that your granny created, and you're like, oh, there's a memory of her. It's like when I see these things differently, it's like it triggers a memory of a relationship.
Mhm.
Except in this case, rather, it's a relationship that I didn't even realize I had in this format. Um, just wondering if you've ever thought about these things. Um,
And
do you think it'll make a difference next time you're doing something that you never thought about before?
I think so, and I think um how we grew up, we didn't really focus on beauty as much as far
Yeah,
as making things beautiful.
it's true.
Um, Jewelry, because no, I can't do that. Um, it was viewed as impractical, maybe, you know.
Ah, yeah.
I think so many times it was, things needed to be practical, but you talked just briefly, mentioned Sabbath and what was suitable to do on Sabbath and what was not. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking back to my childhood and what did we do on Sabbath. And a lot of times we would get out. My mom is a bit of an artist herself. She's a very pretty talented seamstress and different things, and has done um well, and she had paints, and so we would get out the watercolors or the pastels, and we'd paint and we'd draw, or we put puzzles together, and stuff. So that a lot of times was Sabbath, was doing those sort of creative things. I remember one time we went for a walk um, out in the woods. I think it was on a Sabbath afternoon, and we gathered bits of dried twigs. But I think it was winter or fall because we were able to get,
Yeah.
dried stuff, and we kind of glued things together and made little animals with them and stuff. But so we were able to appreciate the creative aspect on Sabbath. And I think that was, and I don't know
Yeah.
if that was everybody's Sabbath experience was different.
Yeah. Um, Make a note somewhere. I think we should come back and talk about this Sabbath thing at a later date.
Yeah,
That's such a big can of worms, it's hard to get into now. Um,
huge.
but when you were talking about what the stuff that you did with your mum, and when you took the stuff you did with your mum, I just I realized I realized that I what there's now or in the future, there's going to be people listening. There's going to be mums listening. There's going to be people listening, mums listening that are just thinking, I'm tired. I don't have any energy. I don't have any creative energy. I can't connect with God in this way, in this part of Him, because I don't have any energy. And when you were talking about the stuff you did with your mum, I just wanted to suddenly take your thought further and say for anyone listening now or later that has that thought, I really want to encourage you to remember that to create is to make something that wasn't there before.
Hmm.
So even though you don't have the energy to create maybe the beautiful things you want to create, every time you create a meal, you create a safe space for your kid to say, I got picked on or bullied at school. You create a safe space. Anytime you create anything that wasn't there before, you create clean sheets and a tidy room. I really want to encourage you to think that you're following in the footsteps of God because you created something. I really
Yeah.
want to encourage you to see connections in the mundane and the ordinary. I was told as a kid, it was preached into me, whatever you do, whatever was that verse? Everything you do, do it all to the glory of God. So if you're going to make your bed, make the best bed that you could. And there was sort of like, I'm not saying you don't do your best. I mean, I'm not even going to touch
Right.
that can of worms. I
Oh no.
don't need anyone encouraging me to have a perfectionist thought. I can
Mm-mm.
suffer from that all by myself.
Yep.
Um, I want to encourage people to think outside of that thought and to think that every time you create something that wasn't there, you're potentially walking in the footsteps of your Father, your Heavenly Father,
Yeah.
and that maybe you are way more connected and like Him than you ever thought possible.
Yeah. And
Um,
we're all made in his image, and I think we forget that.
oh, made in his image. Reminded me. God the creator. Have you ever, seriously, my cat, he's not here today, but quite often when I'm on video calls, he has known to crawl up in my arms and he lays on his back and his little black and white face and he just looks up at me and stuff. And I look at my cat and I think, oh God, how did you create something this adorable? Because obviously God is so much huger than what I could ever picture and imagine. So I wonder how he managed. How did he think to create all these incredible things? Have you ever looked at your pets or your garden or driven over a
Mhm.
hill and seen a view and gone, wow, how did God think to create something this amazing?
Oh, 100% all the time. Yeah.
So when you look at those works of art and you think, wow, God is such an incredible artist, here's the clicker. So have you, do you, I'm going to challenge you and anyone else listening, do you have that same thought? God's an incredible artist. Do you think that when you look in the mirror? Because I know I don't.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and especially as we start to get a little bit older and we're feeling a little saggy, a little baggy, a little wrinkly. I've been fortunately blessed with very little gray hair so far, but it's coming. And then you look at it and go, oh, come on. Really?
So I
But
want to add a second challenge to anyone listening, not just to look at everything they make happen that never happened before, so everything they create, and to think about how much like God it makes them. But if they've never thought it, I want to challenge them to think, wow, God's a greater artist every time they look in the mirror.
mm,
I don't feel it. I don't. But my head knows that technically I'm a living work of art that God made. And I'm hoping my feelings catch up sometime soon.
we should all put stickers on our bathroom mirror that says, wow, God is a great artist.
That's a great idea, Carrie. I'm going to do that. It'll freak out everyone else in the house. That's really cool. God is a great artist and stick it on the bathroom mirror. That'll help me think about it every time.
Or you could even, if you have a dry erase marker, just write it right on the mirror and you can get rid of it later or change it. You know,
Oh,
that's,
wow.
I leave myself notes that way sometimes.
I haven't done that, but now that you've said it, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
I really am. Um, so yeah, I don't know how long I've been talking for. That's sort of all that's on my mind at the moment. Well,
Yeah.
that's not true. My mind is like a 5-lane highway that goes in 6 directions some days. But that was what was on the top when you asked.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done about 20 minutes.
Oh, that went really quick. Is there anything else you wanted to add to these things? Oh, apart from your amazing idea already, which was to write, I am a work of art and put it on the mirror.
Yeah. I think it's just so important for us to remember that we are made in God's image. And I think also when we are interacting with other people or we see other people to remind ourselves that they are also made in the image of God. Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to misquote it. I saw on Facebook recently, it says, never forget that you have never looked into the eyes of someone that God has not loved,
Wow. Yeah.
regardless of who they are, what they've done, where they're from, what they look like, how they live. God loves them. He made
Yeah.
them and they're made in God's image just like we are. And I think sometimes we um like to feel superior to other people because of maybe our belief system or how we live, how we believe, but God loves everybody regardless and he made everybody in his image.
I was having what could be a totally inappropriate thought. Sorry, when you talked about that, I was thinking about I'm not really big into art as in painted art, but I can remember one time going to an art gallery, well, like a little art showy thing just to have a look with someone. And I didn't like all the art there enough that I'd want to bring it home and put it on my wall and look at it every day.
Mm-hmm.
But there was still a part of me that was filled with awe and wonder at the skill
Mm-hmm.
of what was created. And that's what I was thinking when you were talking about being able to see the image of God in everyone. And if this is a totally inappropriate thought, feel free to comment below and let me know. So sorry. But my initial instant reaction, if I'm going to be honestly and truly who I am, my initial reaction was, wow, people, I guess I need to see them a little bit like my art show that I went to. And that is that even though I'm not going to like all of them enough to want to bring all the people home, I can still look at them with wonder and awe at the skill that's gone into making them who they are. And I guess
Yeah,
it's sort of
absolutely.
the different levels of appreciation and attachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, that's a great. I'd never, yeah, never thought about it till you said that, Gary. Hence why it's great to have someone to talk to.
That's right. Bouncing ideas off of each other and not caring if they're exactly perfect or exactly thought out well.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that some of our listeners at some point are going to want to come on and have a just short chat. Won't keep you long and share too some of their real time experiences with stuff.
Yeah,
But we might need some more practice before we get to that bit.
maybe. We'll see. We'll make it. We're all works in progress too, for sure. We're not going to be perfect at this, but maybe we'll be some of the world's okayest YouTubers.
Yay!
Yay! Not going to be award winning, but that's okay. As long as at least one person gets reached by what we do,
It's
that's the
enough.
important thing. That's enough. So, people, if you've been watching, subscribe, like, comment, all the things. Ask any questions that you want. If you have anything that you absolutely 100% want to stay anonymous, except for between myself and Danny, you can send us an email to chat, and we'd be happy to answer your questions on a YouTube video or through the email, um, or share your story for others to hear. So I think that's it for this episode.
Absolutely. That's it for this episode. And everyone, please drop a comment below.
Yep.
Let me know how you think, what you feel. Have you considered the whole, being like God thing? This is just something I've shared with Carrie, and I'd love to know
Mm-hmm.
what everyone else's thoughts on these matters are. Just drop a note below and tell us. And
Awesome.
expand the lives of us and anyone else that comes along later to see.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see everybody next time. Please like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.